So a few videos ago, I talked about how Montana seems to be a little bit power crept these days, and that its guns really don't feel great at tier 10. Uh, Iowa, on the other hand, actually feels pretty decent at tier 9. Mainly because at tier 9, a lot more cruisers have 27 millimeters of armor instead of the usual tier 10 30 millimeter armor. And that's a huge difference, and it makes Iowa actually feel like a pretty decent ship. And your dispersion is still quite good. You pack the special American Battleship dispersion module that does 11% dispersion in the 6th slot, and you really feel like you have a strong battleship on your hands. Iowa definitely struggles with its superstructure size in comparison to something like an Azumo, but it's a really, really strong ship, mainly because of its speed. It allows you to get into some really, really, really strong positions much quicker than enemy battleships would be able to. You can see I'm going 34.2 knots before I started turning there for a second. It's a fast ship. And this lets you catch cruisers off guard. You can see what I'm doing here is I'm pushing up to an island near the middle of the map. And my entire goal is to catch people broadside as they're pushing the 1, 2, 3 lines. And even as they're pushing towards that side of the map from the middle. It's a pretty common thing to happen on this map. The people in the middle either break off to one flank or the other. And I'm just trying to catch their broadsides as they go to that position. It is a lot stronger from this side of the map. You do have a lot more cover. But it can work from the other side of the map too. But you'll see that we can just kind of stay here as long as we don't lose decap and get pushed around from that flank. This is an incredibly powerful forward position to get crossfires from. And, well, Iowa is very good against broadsides. You don't quite have the strength of Montana with the 12 guns, but, I mean, when you get dispersion like this, it's pretty nasty. Although, you know, you don't always get those huge hits. We're just a little bit too high, but pretty nice, right? Iowa is a good ship that felt a little disappointing to me when I first got it, because North Carolina is such a strong battleship at its tier. I didn't really feel like Iowa was much of an upgrade, mainly down to its worse maneuverability. It's not bad maneuverability, but North Carolina rudder shift and turning circle make it just an incredibly versatile, fun, agile battleship to play. And it's better concealment too. Not that Iowa's concealment is bad, but it just has better concealment. So I felt like I was kind of getting a downgrade. And in sometimes the Iowa's guns can feel a little wonky in terms of dispersion, where North Carolina is one of the most consistently accurate battleships in the game. And it made me not appreciate this ship particularly much. I kind of just rushed Montana when I got it. And I haven't played it a ton recently. I have played a lot of Missouri. I'll probably make a video on that ship coming tomorrow, is my guess, or maybe a little later. But they are different ships, and they do play differently, just in spite of them having the same guns and armor layout. But the main thing is that Iowa has an improved heal now. Missouri can only heal around like 13 or 14,000 HP per heal, and Iowa gets 17,500. So as long as you're not taking massive chunks from battleships and you're taking mainly HE damage, avoiding torpedoes, that kind of thing, your heal is awesome. It is really, really powerful. And it allows you to sustain a lot longer than a Missouri necessarily would be able to. Unfortunately, Georgia has the best heal. I would definitely value cooldown time on heals over the amount of healing. At least this difference. Conqueror is obviously supremely strong because its heal does 40,000 HP of healing every time you click the button. So you can see the dispersion is quite nice against broadsides. I really, really did enjoy playing this game and do enjoy playing this Iowa. And you'll probably see me play it more now that I've kind of grown tired of tier 10 matchmaker. And this is one of the main reasons to play Iowa, because it's nearly a Montana. You're so close to being a Montana, but your matchmaker is so much better. You can see in this game, similar to the Alsace game I posted yesterday, it should be. It's tier 9s and no CV and not really a ton of overpowered HE spammers. It just feels amazing to play games like this where, I'm sitting here and I'm 10 to 15 kilometers away from most of the enemy team, and I'm not scared that I'm just dead right away. It's crazy how much more fun this is for me. I think this is where the game's at its best, truly. So from now on, it's like tier 9 is the kind of tier for me, I think. You saw that we got hit for nearly 13,000 damage through our superstructure. That happens. Iowa, Georgia, Missouri all have very large superstructures. I believe Georgia's is the biggest, but Iowa and Missouri are also massive, so you can take huge hits through your superstructure. So that is one thing to be aware of. That's why you normally want to dodge shells if you possibly can in this thing. And you can do that with its impressive speed. But to play this ship, you need to know where to position. Because you do have so much speed, your speed can often get you into trouble. So it's important to know where you can be safely. And to not always be pushing or kiting or flanking, that kind of thing. Sometimes you just need to sit angled onto the enemy and just provide a tank and spotting sponge, basically. You'll see that my team plays this very passively. More passive than I would have liked. It would have been nice if my team had pushed through the 1-2 line. That would have been awesome with the Kitakaze's support, but that actually doesn't end up happening. I take a very forward position here because I can. That's another nice thing about this matchmaker without a CV. You're able to make these more aggressive plays that can help your team win and make the game a lot more interesting and dynamic. Being on this island here would be suicide in a CV game because there's no room to maneuver. But in a game without a CV, I'm actually in a very, very strong position to help support my team. And that's part of the reason tier 9 is so nice, is you often get games without CVs in them. And then you can play positions like this where you're able to support and deter the enemy team and hopefully help your team to win. So you're going to see me just sit here. I'm cutting off half the map here with this island to my right. You'll see me do this often. I talked about this in a brawling battleship guide, but you can do it in anything. Battleships, cruisers, destroyer, anything. It's just incredibly good positioning to take 1v1s. So you're going to see me on the right-hand side of my ship. That island's going to cover me from the Riga and Missouri, and the islands on my left are going to cover me from the Iowa and Minnesota. And so now I kind of have a 1v1 here with this Jean Bart, who's caught bow in. And hopefully, well, I'm hoping that my team is able to get him out because he's one of the important linchpin ships we need to get. The goal is to kill, in order, Jean Bart, Riga, Missouri, probably. That's going to be our goal. Because Iowa and Minnesota, they're just going to kite away, and they're not as important to winning this game. But killing these bow-in guys is going to be huge, huge plus for our team. Now, we are letting a Siegfried get to our side, which is a little scary. But you'll see that behind me, there's two battleships just sitting there, and our Kitakaze is kind of just wandering around next to me. The learning thing here would be, if you're in that situation and you have a teammate in my position, try and win that one line for him. Because winning that one line keeps that linchpin ship in the middle from getting crossfired. And crossfires, as we know, are all very, very important for winning games and killing ships. So you can see we've, just in our spotting alone, we've been able to take the Jean Bart down to a reasonably low HP value. But we are losing the one line. It's really smart by the Siegfried player to make that play. That is a winning play for his team to go get that ground, because we're not there at all. That's a really, really smart play. So if you're finding yourself in a situation where the enemy team is all clumped up like this, assuming there's no CV in the game, because obviously going out on your own in a CV game is just suicide, make a play like that Siegfried, because it really, really caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it, And I lost a lot of HP to that Siegfried. You'll see in a bit here. You can see he's chunking me for 8k, 10k kind of things. And you can see, I'm pinging the map because I'm pretty upset that my team is just hiding 2 squares behind me. And I'm thinking this game is over, that we've lost it. But it's still close. It's still close. I'm just a little bit pessimistic in game sometimes, thinking that things are worse than they actually are. But you can see that Siegfried is quite annoying for me to have to deal with. So the play for me is I can't deal with the Riga and Missouri now. I have to deal with the Siegfried. There's no way for me to push in and get rid of their linchpin ships and spot their linchpin ships for my team hiding behind me with this Siegfried on my side, because Siegfried's strength is that it has incredibly accurate guns. It's essentially a Gneiss now with worse armor at tier 9, and it's called a super cruiser basically. And but it has some of the best dispersion in the game, and so those guns are no joke when they're all packed in a little football heading for your citadel. So you really got to be conscious of letting those ships near you. Now I think we took a citadel there. I don't really know how, but yeah, you got to watch out just the way the bow is shaped, and just because Iowa has slightly worse frontal citadel armor than a Missouri, it is possible to get cheeked, similar to how a Musashi gets cheeked or a Yamato gets cheeked, but nowhere near as drastic, nowhere near as vulnerable, because your citadel is basically at the waterline, and you don't have that weird angled cheek part to deal with. So we're on reasonably low HP. Unfortunately, the Seattle is still alive. This is the guy I chunked at the beginning, by the way. So props to him for being able to live that long. That's pretty impressive. But that's the nice thing about tier 9 cruisers too, I should mention, is you get a heal. Getting a heal is amazing for a cruiser, that it just allows you to impact the game more and be more aggressive and not be basically out of the fight because you made one mistake. So, which is, I think, really good game design. I just wish that when people do make big mistakes, like going broadside to a battleship at like 10 kilometers, they would take citadels. Or even one citadel on a battleship that's broadside at 15 kilometers. That would be nice to citadel that guy. But pretty solid hold here at this point. But you notice we've lost all the flanks at this point. The score is reasonably close. The health pools are really close, but they're way ahead on caps. And their map position is so much better than ours. I hope you can realize that being clumped up in a ball is worse than being spread out and surrounding that ball, creating crossfires and all that stuff. Fortunately, we are using these islands intelligently. You see how all the 1v1s we're taking. It's impossible for that Missouri or Riga to hit us, and we're just killing this Iowa, who is making a mistake by going bowing here. What he should have done is probably gone with the Siegfried and built that flank. Fortunately, our Kitakaze finally went out there and is helping secure that flank. I think the Siegfried ate a ton of torps from the Kitakaze, which really helped us win the game. It's really important not to lose both flanks, and we very nearly did. You can see we lost the D flank from a long time ago, back when I left that side, actually. They just kind of were able to push through, but fortunately our team was able to clean them up a little bit. And now we get the difficult task of pushing into a Missouri Riga with a battleship on our side, or a Seattle on our side, sorry. And Siegfried is on low HP, so we should be able to deal with that. It's a very close game, and I love games like this. They're put you right on the edge of your seat, and every decision you make matters. I think Iowa is really good for situations like this, where you need something to happen, you know what you need to do to win the game, and all that is required is to execute on that. And Iowa's speed is really nice for that, in comparison to something like a Minnesota, which is the equivalent tier 9 American battleship, just the one that's super fat and slow, but has 3 more guns. but a longer reload. Iowa's basically better in every way than Minnesota, unfortunately for that ship. But yeah, the speed really crucial to helping you win games, because it lets you make plays that need to happen. So, for example, they win in 2 minutes 19 seconds. Well, 2 minutes 57 seconds now that we killed the Siegfried, but so that's not very much time, and we need to get on caps like right now. Fortunately, we got a cruiser heading for D, but he might not make it in time, so I need to hop on A to stall. And even if he does make it to D, well, they'll just win in another 3 minutes. So we need to get on all these caps to stall. So hopefully our Musashi pushes up and into C cap. That's what I'm hoping for. And I am just going to kite away from these guys so I don't give broadside, because giving broadside to a Missouri and a Riga is a really good way to die. So I'm trying to just get into A and hold the cap there. Sometimes you just got to make those kind of YOLO plays a little bit. Even though I'm on low HP and in front of 2 battleships, well, not 2, 1 battleship and 1 heavy air cruiser. I don't really know what to make of Riga, actually. Is it a heavy cruiser, or is it a super cruiser, or a mixture? I don't know. It's got some reasonably powerful guns, let's just say that. So now that we're in A, the enemy DD shows up in B, and that's not good. Let's just say that, because there's no way we're resetting or getting into that cap. So we need now to make sure we get into all of the caps remaining. And yeah, very close stuff. I'm trying to make sure my team focuses the Riga out. Target selection is one of the hardest things for random battles teams. We need to kill both of these ships, but we need to focus out the one that's easier to kill. And we know Riga has armor that is able to be overmatched, and in general, a cruiser at these ranges is less tanky than a battleship at these ranges. So it's important to focus out a single target with your team. So that's why I'm trying to communicate with my team to focus this guy out. Now, I do make a mistake here. I actually end up drifting out of the cap, but fortunately the Kitakaze just barely gets in, so that we don't actually lose any points, that it's not any ticking going on. But a misplay by me for sure. I should have just stayed in the cap. I was trying to increase the range and hopefully get a better angle on these, on the Riga and the Missouri, but fortunately our Alaska makes a huge hero play and pushes into the cap, stalling the cap, and killing the Riga at the same time, and potentially killing the Missouri, putting him in a crossfire. Huge play by our Alaska. Realistically, we should have lost this game. And it's still really close, but we do end up winning it, actually, to kind of spoil it. But we should have lost this. Our team played incredibly well at the end here. With a few lapses in judgment from a few people. Our Kitakaze actually drifts out of the cap as well, and I thought it was game over at that point, because there's only a minute left on the game clock, right? You can't just look at the score timer at the top middle. You can't look at points. You have to keep in mind in these really long games that the game clock matters a lot. But fortunately, we are a few ticks ahead of the enemy team at this point. 864 to 863. How crazy is that? At the end of a 20-minute game, it's a point different there, and we each control 2 caps. Crazy. So I have a lot of fun with Tier 9. I've been having a ton of fun with Tier 9 recently, and it's because of games like this and the Alsace one. All these more close games where positioning matters, taking strong positions and forcing the enemy team to deal with you. It's really cool. And Iowa is one of the better ships at that because of your massive amounts of speed. I like it a lot, and I would suggest giving it a try if you haven't played it recently. Now, 208k, pretty solid carry, I think. We only got 1 kill, but our Brindisi, I should say, on the other flank played quite well. So getting a crack in as well. So pretty awesome game. let's take a look at how I would build an Iowa. Pretty similar to Montana, let's be honest. So to set up an Iowa, yeah, it's very similar to Montana. You're taking a tank build, more than likely. I truly believe that this is the best build you're going to get for an Iowa. You get some really good turret traverse, you get some tankiness to deal with the fires, and because of your massive heal, that it does take a long time for it to come back up. Having the fire prevention and basic survivability really helps you last in between your heals, because it does take 80 seconds in between heals to actually get them back up and then heal for that 17k, which is really, really nice. Now to talk about equipment, I run Artillery Plotting Room Mod 2, the minus 11% dispersion. I think it's better than Main Battery Reload. I value on a battleship the one-time hit alpha strike being more accurate than shooting more often. I think that's important to note on battleships. Alpha strike is sometimes more important than DPM. Obviously DPM is important as well, but being able to hit maybe one or two more citadels per game because you have accuracy is a huge difference in damage as well. So it's up to you. You can choose either one, but I do prefer aiming. Concealment, pretty standard. I mean, 12.7 detect is pretty nice on a tier 9 battleship. I've been running propulsion mod recently, but I think damage control system is also good. I run range simply because I feel confident shooting at longer ranges and catching people out at those ranges, but another really good option is the Main Battery Mod 2, being able to turn your turrets even faster. That's nice if you're not as situationally aware and you're reacting to what's going on instead of predicting what's going on. I do run fighter. I've talked about this a couple of times. The reason you run fighter is to prevent a CV from getting multiple drops, or the likelihood he'll get multiple drops. Assuming your fighters lock on, which to get them to lock on, you need to pop your fighter consumable before the CV gets within your AA range. But assuming they lock on, you're guaranteed to shoot down 4 planes, whether that be with the fighters or a combination of your fighters and AA. As soon as they lock on, 4 planes guaranteed dead. And that's enough to sometimes cripple a strike enough that a CV just gives up and returns the rest of the strike to his plane. So a nice consumable to have, especially because with range mod, you get 27 kilometers of range, which is more than enough for most games. Damage control system mod 1, pretty self-explanatory, and same with main armament mod 1. You could take damage control party mod 1 if you feel like it. That'll get yourself a near 30-second reload, or 30-second damage control, which is kind of fun, but normally you're looking for the instantaneous action of a damage control, not the extended period of invincibility or invulnerability to fires, not taking any in that time. You want that instant fix everything on your ship more often than you want just a longer invulnerable time. So that's how I set up Iowa. Pretty nice ship, I gotta say. I'm enjoying tier 9 a lot. And if you're getting tired of tier 10, maybe try tier 9. It's pretty nice, and the matchmaker is often quite kind to you. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you have a great day.